Hello Flosstube friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is Lauren. I am known as Cross Stitch Bunny here on YouTube and also over on Instagram. Today is the 30th of June and this is my Flosstube number 15. I do have a little friend here for you to meet. So I did mention that we had puppies in the house again, and some quite exciting, nice life update is that I am keeping this little girl. So she is our keeper, and she doesn't have a name yet. We've been struggling with a name. So she's about 9 weeks old now, and you're beautiful, aren't you? You can say hello. You're a bit closer so people can see how lovely you are. You're looking at me. You look at them. There she is. So yeah, we're keeping this little girl, but she's as of yet not got a name, and obviously we've had her since she was born and we just still can't make our mind up and decide. My little girl wanted to call her Marlowe, and Adam was unsure about that. He was like, no, I'm not sure about that name. And then I said, oh, shall we call her Margot, which is like similar, and he was like, no. So yes, she is currently nameless puppy. She needs a name. Any suggestions are welcome because we do need to decide fairly soon so that we've got something to call her. Names that I cannot use would be Belle, Luna, Minnie, Roxy, Cookie, Willow, Amber, Freya, Lily or Rose because those are the girls that we've already got. Minnie's sadly no longer with us, but she was one of our girls previously. So yeah, those are girls' names that I just can't use, and obviously not Daisy because that's my little girl's name, but any other names we are open to suggestions. So yes, that is the first little bit of nice life update is that I'm keeping this little baby, which is lovely. I am filming in the same room as Flosstube episode number 14, and this is where the dogs are outside, they can see me, so just disclaimer now, I'm not going to stop and start like I did last time, every time they bark. You may hear barking, hopefully it's not too disruptive. In the last episode, a lot of you commented that you just found it quite funny, and that it didn't bother you too much, so hopefully they're quiet, but if they're not, I'm just going to power through. Unless they're so noisy that you can't hear me, I'm just going to carry on. So yeah, we're in the sunroom again, and Bonnie did comment on my last video asking about this artwork behind me, and asking if you could see it in full. So I will just insert a little picture of that for you to see, Bonnie. Unfortunately, I can't tell you who the artist is, so my other half, Adam, went into an art gallery, like a local gallery, that was, I think she was relocating her gallery, the artist, and he just saw this, fell in love with it, and bought it, thinking it would go really nicely in this room, which it does, but unfortunately, he can't remember what the name of the artist was, and then when I tried to Google the location of her old gallery, there's just no details left, because obviously she's relocated to a new location, so it is a bit of a mystery, but she is a local artist based in Droitwich, which is fairly close to where I live, and yes, she does some beautiful things, really lovely. I'm so sorry that I cannot share her name and give her credit, but we do love this piece. So yes, that is that for you, Bonnie. I have done about 28 hours of stitching since my last video, which was filmed on the 18th of June, and I've been working on 5 different projects. So I have had a finish, 2 new starts, and then I've just worked on 2 other WIPs that you've seen before that I will be showing you again. But before we get into all the stitchy talk about my own stitchy updates, I would like to talk a little bit about the SAL. Before I do that, I should go and put you back with your friends. Yeah, you say goodbye? Okay. Nameless puppy says goodbye. You're going to put you back. Okay. Okay. Okay, so Puppy is back with her friends. Please do let me know if you think you have a good name idea for her, and we will talk about the SAL. So, as you hopefully are already aware, I am hosting the 9 Jars SAL, and we are starting tomorrow on the 1st of July. So I will be stitching the festive Susan Bates Jars pattern, but some of you may be stitching the summer pattern. Both jars are the same size, both patterns are the same size, same number of jars, same overall dimensions. I have previously already stitched the summer jars, and a lot of people on my Instagram absolutely loved it, which made me think that it would be a nice idea to see if anyone wanted to do a SAL for doing the other pattern or for doing the summer one that I originally did, and the response seems to have been a resounding yes. A lot of you have messaged me, commented on my Flosstubes, messaged me on Instagram. There's quite a few people starting to use the 9 Jars SAL hashtag on Instagram, which I'm following, so I'm seeing your lovely posts where you're preparing your stuff and getting ready to start. So thank you to all of you who are about to join in. I haven't got anything here to show you because my kit up, I have kitted up, but it's not too exciting. I am doing mine on 18 count plain white fabric, and the reason for that is just that I did my original summer jars on the same, so I did them on 18 count, just plain white Ada, and I want them both to end up the same size. And yeah, I just thought I would stick to what I'd already done for the first one, but I know that some of you are doing it on sparkly fabrics. A couple of you have actually bought the white opalescent sparkly fabric from my own website and let me know that you're using that for the SAL, so that was really lovely of you, thank you. So yes, we will be starting tomorrow. A quick reminder that there are no rules to the SAL in terms of what order you need to stitch the jars in. So for me personally, I'm planning to do a centre start, so I will be starting with the middle jar on the middle row, which for the Christmas pattern is, I think, Getting the Tree. So that will be the jar that I'm starting with, but you can start with whichever jar you like. I'm guessing that most people will either do a top left start or a centre start, so it's probably either the top left jar or the very middle jar that most people would start with. But if there's another jar that you want to start with, then go for it. Like, there's no rule to which order to stitch the jars in. It is literally as simple as picking your first jar and stitching that jar between the 1st of July and the 17th of July. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we can keep up, but we'll see how it goes. And then jar 2, the second part, will start from the 18th of July onwards. So hopefully my next Flosstube number 16, will be around the time that we're getting to the end of part 1, or we may have got to the end of part 1, depending exactly when I film it. So yes, in my next episode I should have my start to show you, but thank you again for everyone that's joining in, and I'm really looking forward to seeing all your progress pictures. And if you are not on Instagram but you would like to share a progress picture with me so I can include it in future Flosstube videos and show off your progress, please do email me. My email address is always in the show notes below, so if you just click on the notes for the video, you'll be able to find my email there. And do send me your photos if you're not going to be sharing them on Instagram but would like me to see them and would like me to potentially share them in my future videos. So yes, that is the SAL. Remember, the hashtag is 9 Jars SAL. So moving on, so the 9 Jars SAL I'm very excited about. Before I get into my pile of stitching to show you, just some other quick bits of excitement that are not stitch related but also exciting to me, is that yesterday was my little girl's sports day and her graduation ceremony from nursery, and it was super cute. They had them in their like little graduation robes and hats, and they did the hat toss, and it was just an absolutely lovely afternoon. She won one of her sports day races. They did a race on the space hoppers where they had to hop on the space hopper in one direction, and then when they got to the cones at the end they had to turn around and run back, running with their space hopper as fast as they could. And yeah, she absolutely smashed that race and won. I was really proud of her, even though it's a really silly race, and she was like really happy with herself. So that was super cute. And they did a time capsule, so they all had to take a small toy in to put in the time capsule, then they buried that. I'm not sure when it's going to be opened, when they're going to pull it out of the ground, but that has been buried in the nursery garden, perhaps for like a future generation of nursery children to dig up. I don't know what the time frame is that they're going to do on that, but it was just a fantastic afternoon. She absolutely loved it, and later on today I have her big school induction. So later today and this afternoon I will be taking her to meet her teacher again. She's already met her teacher once, but it was just a quick little visit. We were there about half an hour. Today is going to be a bit different, so rather than me going with her and being in her new classroom talking to a teacher while she has a look around, and that visit was just with there's 2 other children from her same nursery going to the same school, so there was the 3 of them there together. But today she's going to be with the teacher in the classroom for 2 full hours without me, so just drop her off and take her there, and she will be meeting all the children that are going to be in her class. I think there's 25 children that are going to be in her year group, so she will get to meet all of them, not just the 2 that she already knows. And while she's having loads of fun and excitement with all her new little friends, I'm going to be sat in the parents meeting and having to get my head around all the things that I've got to organise for her lunch, for her uniform, for probably a million other things that I'm not even aware of yet that I'm going to have to do, but I'll be trying to get my head around all that while she's having fun. But I'm excited because I've been a bit panicking that she's not going to be ready for September. Like, I'm not going to have all the stuff that I need to organise for her. I'm going to forget stuff, so I'm glad that this afternoon hopefully I will get all the information for that and just know what we're doing. Other life updates, unicorn party. So I mentioned in my last video that Daisy was going to be having a unicorn birthday party, like a small get together. It was just with family and then with her very best friend and her little brother. She can be a bit strange in big group situations. Even if she knows people, she can get a bit overwhelmed at parties with loud music and stuff. So we went for the unicorn option, and I'm happy to say that it was a huge success. She was so overjoyed. She absolutely loved it. I will insert some picture and video footage hopefully. Did take some video. I've not even watched them back myself yet. Obviously we just enjoyed it on the day, but we did try and document a bit of that party, so I'll show you a few things on the screen while I'm just talking about it. But it was brilliant. So we had a pink unicorn called Pippin, who was Daisy's unicorn. Then we had a blue unicorn called Zebedee, and then we had Mr. Jingles, who is Daisy and Hadley, so my 2 children's favourite little pony, just a normal pony. So we had those 3. The 2 girls had the unicorns and my little boy had Jingle, although her best friend, who hasn't really got much experience with being on ponies, was a little bit unsure at first. So it did end up that some of it she just wanted to walk with her pony rather than sit on a pony, and it took her a little while to warm to the idea. By the end of it, all 3 of them were happily riding, but for a little while my little boy kept switching between Jingle and Zebedee the unicorn, so he was riding both, which was quite funny. He didn't want either of them to be left out, and the other little girl was not sure at first about riding, so he got to ride both ponies, kept switching until she finally decided that she was going to ride the unicorn. And then that was a lovely end to the party. My parents were there, my partner's parents were there, so grandparents were there. It was lovely. My mum and dad had just got back from holiday in Spain and travelled straight to us for her party. So they were really happy to see her. We've not seen them for about 7 or 8 weeks because they had been away for 6 weeks, so that was really lovely to be reunited and see them again. Daisy was really happy to see them, and it was just an overall beautiful family day. So yes, I really enjoyed that. It was really lovely. Yes, so that is my lovely, positive, nice bit of life update. We will crack on now with my actual stitching. So stitching. The first bit of stitching I am going to show you is the single finish that I have had, and it is my We Rise piece by Emma Congdon, also known as Stitch Rovia. This is from the book that is very close to being released now, so the Cross Stitch for the Heart book that is due for release on the 12th of July. As you will be aware if you watch my previous videos, I was incredibly lucky and grateful to receive an advanced copy from the publisher and also an additional copy to give away. I have started 2 pieces from the book, so this is my second finish from the book. This is design number 12, and they're not named in the book, but I have been referring to this as my We Rise whip. Give you a bit of a closer look. I just think it's absolutely beautiful. Beautiful colour combinations. I love all the little animals. And yes, it's just a lovely piece. I'm very happy to have finished it. I'm pleasantly surprised with how quickly this did stitch. I think part of that was my enthusiasm for it and the fact I didn't put it down too much, but also it was just a very clear and fairly easy pattern to follow. The one thing I would say, which I haven't previously mentioned, I have mentioned about the one error in the key for this, so just be careful when you're kitting up that there is one colour that is wrong in the key. You can refer to my previous videos if you want to double check on that. But yeah, the one thing I've not previously mentioned is that for some reason the designer, so Emma, decided to use 3 symbols that were all the letter F. And I must admit, for a pattern with so few colours, I think it's only like 12 colours in this, that did frustrate me at times because there were 3 different Fs on the pattern, and I just think that's completely unnecessary, especially for something with so few colours. I think there was an F in a circle, an F in a square, and then another F that was just like bold and like a bolder text than the others. But for me, yes, I love Emma, I love her designs, and I've never noticed that in one of her patterns before. But yes, for some reason in this particular pattern, 3 Fs out of all the possible symbols, or even just using letters, like 12 different letters, but no, there were 3 Fs in this pattern. F for frustrating, because that did play havoc with my eyes a little bit at some point, but nonetheless, like I said, it was a clear pattern to follow once I got my head around those 3 symbols that were similar, and I've finished it pretty quickly. I'm not sure how I'm going to FFO this yet. It is too nice to just sit in my box of unfinished things, but that is where it is headed for now. I have previously mentioned that I am hopefully trying to move house, and our house move keeps getting delayed. We were hoping to do it this summer. Now it's looking more likely that it will be next summer, and I'm just really hesitant to start FFOing things into pillows, frames, other things that then makes them more bulky to transport than just having them in my finishes box. So yeah, that's what I'm blaming it on. That is what I'm blaming my reluctance to FFO things on. It is also just that I don't get round to it, if I'm completely honest, because some things have been in that box for a ridiculous number of years. But yeah, one big part of it at the moment is that I'm just really hoping we can move house before I start framing too many things or finishing too many things and making them more bulky. So one last look at that, and I stitched this on 14 count, like an ivory, very pale yellow Ada, and that is my finish. I hope you love it as much as I do, and those of you that are getting the book on the 12th and have pre-ordered your copy, if this is one that you're planning on starting, I hope that you really enjoy stitching it. So that is my finish. That is the only finish I have to show you. But I do have 2 whips to show you that will be familiar. So the first one is my World of Cross Stitching magazine turtle. This is my Patchwork turtle. I have done a little bit on this since you last saw him. Pleased with my progress. It's not a huge amount of stitching that I have added in, but I've made some progress. The little stain on this as well, which just find it, which is here. I did have another go at trying to remove that gently, just by target washing this area very gently, and I'm happy to say that I do seem to have managed to fade it somewhat. However, like not so much that it's incredibly noticeable, but I have slightly lifted the colour of the blue in that area as well. I don't know if you can see it. I'll try and get a little bit closer. But it's very slightly lightened the blue in that area of the fabric. Not so much that I think anyone else would notice, but I can notice that maybe I like scrubbed just a little bit too much and have just lifted that blue ever so slightly. So I will not be attempting to wash it out any more than I already have. I've faded it a lot, and I think I am just going to proceed to maybe do like some beads dotted around as bubbles, which will obviously work quite well for this design, and which was a suggestion by a number of people. I think I will still do that just to make sure that it's definitely covered. This is being stitched on 18 count wave after wave fabric, and I will just show you where I was last time for a bit of a comparison, and I will also show you what this will look like when it is fully finished. Didn't bother doing that for my finish because I always think like when it's finished, yeah, obviously I don't need to show you what it will look like when it's finished because it's finished, but I didn't show you where I was previously with that one, just because it was already finished, so much more interesting to just see the final article. My next whip to show you is my Ophelia's Pearl, which is a Mirabilia pattern by Nora Corbett. Oh, really should have taken this out of the frame. I'm sorry, I'm not going to mess around with doing that now, but because I don't bother taking them out when it's not impeding any of the stitching, but I have moved this frame, so that was a bit naughty. I should have taken it off to show you. But hopefully you will see some nice progress with this when I put up the comparison. Her entire tail is finished. Like I said, I have moved the hoop down over that a little bit. But the most exciting bit of progress on this is that I have started to bead her. So I'm hoping that the camera is going to show you that nicely and that you'll be able to see the beads that I have started. So I've started doing the beads on these like tendrils here. There's some little beads at the bottom of all these back stitch tendrils. I've just started working my way up, like there's beads around here, still got quite a few more to fill in. And yes, I'm really pleased with how she's going. She is being stitched on a 32 count opalescent hand dye that I've hand dyed myself. I love the fabric choice. I know a lot of you guys do as well. I keep getting complimented on this fabric choice and I am pleased with it. Loving her now that she's being beaded, and just in case, I'm sure that if you guys do a lot of beading you will already know, but I have been using this little thing. Take the top off just so it's not so glary, hopefully, and this should give you a good demo of how great it is. So this is like a sticky little mat. The brand is the Beadsmith, and I saw Ina Stitchers using one of these at the No Band retreat, and it was brilliant. I asked her if I could like pick it up. I was like, really, can I pick it up and the beads won't fall off? And she was like, no, they won't. As you can see, so I have got two little clusters of beads currently stuck on there, along with their Mill Hill codes and the symbols they are on the pattern. And when I've been stitching and when I've been beading her, we'll just cover that back up for now. But when I have, oh, got that wrong, it's difficult to do with just one hand, that's better. So when I have been beading with her, what I have done is I have had my nudge hoop like secured in my Lowry frame, so it's been facing me, but I've had it flat. So I'll show you. So I've been having my hoop flat like this, and then I've been putting my little bead mat here, obviously not with the cover on it, and just securing it here with a needle minder. So I've literally just had a needle minder pinching it onto my hoop to keep it secured. And then obviously I don't have the cellophane on when I'm beading, and it's just right there. So I can have my needle here going up and down and literally just taking a bead off the mat and putting it straight on, taking another bead off. And yeah, I've just found it absolutely fabulous to be stitching with it like that. This is my first time beading. I've never beaded before, and although I've got quite a lot of Mirabilias on the go, I've always ended up thinking to myself, I'm going to leave the beading till the end. I'm not going to bead as I go, because I've been warned by a few people that obviously if you move your frame like I have here and end up covering up anywhere that you've previously beaded, that could be a problem. It could crush the beads. It's something that you want to avoid doing. but because she is one of the petite mermaids, she's from the Petite Mermaids collection, she's not very big, and I will not have to move this hoop again now to finish her. And there's no beads in this bottom section of her tail. The lowest beads are here on these tendrils, and below that there's no beading. So I felt quite safe to be able to move her down slightly in my hoop, and then by the time that her head will be like finishing about here, so I will not have to move that hoop again to finish her. So I felt quite happy that I was able to bead her as I went along. But there she is. If you've had a good look at her, oh, I love her so much. I am really enjoying the beading as well. I was finding the idea of starting the beading really intimidating. I don't know why, because obviously it is just still a stitch, it's just cross stitch, whether you choose to secure them with a half stitch or a full cross stitch, it is just cross stitch, but adding a bead onto your needle. But I was just a bit apprehensive about how it was going to go. I'm pleased to say that I have been absolutely loving it, like genuinely. I don't know whether because for me at the moment it is still a novelty, and maybe when I get to beading some of my larger mirror designs I might not love it so much, because it is definitely slower for me than cross stitching. But at the moment it's a novelty. It's my first time seeing beads. I'm going to show you again. It's my first time seeing beads on one of my projects, and I'm just so excited by how pretty they look. On this particular mermaid I have been doing a half cross to secure them. Hopefully the camera will focus, I really hope it does. But I have been doing these with a half cross, which means they're sitting slanted. But in a minute I'm going to show you a new start, another Mirabilia that I have started working on, and I've done a tiny bit of beading on that one, which I have done with full cross instead, because I wanted to experiment with how the two different ones looked. And yeah, so on this I've been doing them half cross and the beads are sat slanted, but I think it looks beautiful, it works for this design. On my other design I've done it the other way with a full cross, and for that design I think that's working really well. So we'll get to that in a minute, but I'm a bit ahead of myself because I still have one more thing to show you before then. Here is my tiny Modernist band sampler, my next whip to show you. If things have just kind of cut out and come back, it's because my battery died. There always has to be at least one malfunction in a floss tube, doesn't there? Like, it never runs 100% smoothly. So there's my malfunction for today. The battery died. I'm not sure exactly where it cut out, but here is my next whip. So you should have just seen my Ophelia's Pearl, and I've talked to you about the sticky bead mat that I got off Amazon that has been fantastic and useful. And then this is my next whip. So this is Tiny Modernist Spring Band Sampler being stitched on 16 count lime wash Ada from my own Stitch Bunny shop. It's like a pale washed out lime colour, and I really like it. The greens that I'm stitching with on here don't seem to have any issue with standing out nicely on it so far. And I just love these little motifs. I am really enjoying stitching this so far. This is, like I said, it is the Tiny Modernist Spring Band Sampler, one of a set of 4 patterns. This was called on my WIPGO. My goal was to start any of those 4 patterns and to do 10 hours of stitching. This is 2 hours so far on this new whip, and I'm looking forward to doing the other 8 and getting it ticked off. So that is my first new start to show you. So there's not too much to say about it because I've not really done a lot. Now, my other new start is one I am very excited about. Now, if it looks a bit loose in this frame, it's because it is. I've deliberately untightened my frame because I didn't want to take it off the frame completely, but I just wanted to make sure it wasn't pinched. So if it's looking a little bit loose, that is why. It's not because this frame is no good. These are my favourite frames, as you all know. So this new start is my Snow Maiden, and I am so excited to have started this. This was an accidental new start after me specifically saying in Flosstube number 14 that I need to stop having new starts and finish some stuff, and that my whip pile is becoming overwhelming to me. I have gone ahead, ignored myself, and I think what it was a really hot day, and it sounds ridiculous. It was a boiling hot day and I was uncomfortable and felt sweaty and horrible, and I was like, I want to stitch on something winter themed, and I didn't want to stitch on my like winter elephant that's just all grey on grey. I didn't fancy it, so I had this fully kitted and ready to go, and it was too tempting. So this is Snow Maiden. It is a Mirabilia design, so designed by Nora Corbett. I will show you what she will look like when she's finished. I think she is absolutely fabulous. Obviously I don't have a picture to show you what she was looking like last time, because this is the first time you have seen her. I have only just started her. I think that I've made some really fantastic progress because I've just not been able to put her down. So I did a centre start on her, and I've been stitching in all these lovely shades of blue and turquoise and purples, some white, like that off-white B5200. So yes, I think she's coming along absolutely beautifully. I'm stitching her on 32 count Ombre Snow Flurry, which again is one of my own Stitch Bunny shop prints, and I don't know how well that is showing on the camera, but it is like a subtle snow print, but it does have like an ombre effect on the fabric. So it is blue, but the shade of blue kind of changes slightly throughout the fabric, and some areas are paler than others. I just really like it. It is a beautiful fabric, and I thought it would be perfect for her. So yes, I am enjoying this. I have been stitching this with like all the cord for, so it's all DMC, but then also Caron water lilies, and I've only used one of the Caron water lilies so far. I think it's number 200 Seafoam, if memory serves correctly, and if I'm not completely making that up, but it is absolutely gorgeous. It is like a turquoise and yellow combo, and it goes from one to the other just so beautifully, and there's quite a lot of it in here, so it's all over here as well. I've been stitching with that quite a lot, and I have also started a little bit of beading. And as I mentioned, on this one I decided to try the beading with full cross, so I've been securing it, and the beads are very straight. And these are the tiny little petite seed beads that I've been securing to this, and I think it's working nicely, like the way that they are in this design, like sandwiched in these very neat rows between the rows of turquoise. I think it is working out quite nicely that they are lying completely straight. Hopefully that shows up. So yes, I'm really loving working on her. I've been super excited to start her, and I've not given too many other things attention, if I'm honest, since I began on her, which is why I've done quite a lot already. I think I literally only started her within the last week, so there's a hair that's annoying me, I'm trying to grab it. Yeah, I think I only started her within the last week, and I've just not stitched on much else since. So very pleased with how she's going. I hope to show you her again next month with lots of progress. My WIPGO calls for July have been, first one was to start and finish any Mirabilia design, and the one that I am focusing on for that goal is my Petite Mermaid, because I did start her this year, so she was a new start since WIPGO 2022 started. I hope that makes sense. So I'm not starting another one for that July goal, like she was started this year. So she is my new start that I'm focusing on to finish for that particular WIPGO goal, and as you saw, I'm not too far from finishing her. I'm more than halfway done, and she's only a Petite Mermaid, so I'm not sure if I can manage it, but I was really hoping that maybe I will actually achieve that goal within the month of July, because I've got such a good head start on her, and hopefully I may actually finish her within the month that she's been called. I'm trying to think what my second call was for this month, and I'm struggling to remember. Have I got it in my notes? I have. It is the alphabet Design Works piece that I am working on. Excuse me. my Design Works alphabet piece. So that is the animal alphabet that I'm stitching for my little boy. I haven't worked on it recently, so I'm not showing it to you here, but that is my WIPGO goal, my second WIPGO goal for this month, and my goal is to stitch letters A through to H, and at the moment I have done A and B, and I'm part way through C for cat. So yeah, that is quite a few letters still to do, and finishing Amira is quite a big goal. So with me focusing on her and trying to finish her, I think that goal might get left behind, but we will see. And you know, especially with the SAL starting, and I would like to keep up with the SAL given that I'm the one hosting it. I have a feeling that that goal will just run on to future months and not actually get done this month, but that's fine. So that is all of my stitching to show you. Hope that you've enjoyed it, and I think all that I've got left to do is finish up with a bit of haul. So haul wise, I showed you not too long ago that I had bought quite a few heritage kits, and I'm not sure if I mentioned to you that I had then gone ahead and bought a couple more, but I hadn't showed them to you. So this haul is not from the last couple of weeks, it's from before then, but I'd simply forgotten to show you. They are all kits in packets, so they're going to be a bit noisy and possibly a bit glary, but I will do my best just to show you them very quickly. So the first one is the sewing room, and this is the design that I originally saw Somerset Stitchers on Instagram stitching that caught my attention and made me look up these Karen Carter designs. So yes, that is the sewing room. On the subject of Somerset Stitchers, I will pop her Instagram name on the screen just so you can see it written down. I really do suggest going and having a look at her Instagram, giving her a follow if you don't already. She stitches some beautiful things, but at the moment I'm particularly finding her finishes inspiring. So she's been on a bit of a rampage with finishing a lot of her small stitches as cards, and I just think they're absolutely beautiful, like the way that she's putting them together. I don't necessarily want to make, I've got quite a few small finishes, I don't want to make them into cards to potentially give away to people, because I'm really funny with giving my stitching away. Like it has to be someone really special or like immediate family. Like I always worry that if I stitch someone a card and give it to them, that they're not going to realise the effort or whatever that's gone into the card, and that, you know, a lot of cards end up in the bin. I would hate to think that they would just, after that birthday is finished or that occasion is finished, that they would throw it in the bin. But I have a feeling that some people that are not stitchers, like they would do that. So yeah, I'm not necessarily wanting to finish mine as cards, but the way that she does her finishes for the cards, so with like pretty like papers and like accents and little scrapbooking embellishments and embossing and ribbons and all those beautiful little things, but secured on card, is something that I could definitely take inspiration from for putting things in my cross-stitching like scrapbook portfolio, which I mentioned to you quite a few months ago. I have bought some portfolio files. I've got one that's A2 that I can just file very big things in that are waiting to be framed really, so I probably won't try and mount those in a fancy way. I will just slide in my stitching so I can leaf through and look at them, but just so that they're nice and flat and clean and kept safely for when I do want to frame them. But I've also got a smaller portfolio book which is A3, and in the A3 one my intention is to make that into an actual like scrapbook, so the things that go in there will not be things that I intend to frame. There will be things that I intend to just have there forever, and so those ones in that portfolio I would like to mount them in nice creative ways with some interest in the background and around them. So yes, especially for some of the first cross-stitch pieces I ever did, which were a load of tiny small little woodland animals like hedgehogs and stags, and I think I did a squirrel and a few others, they like would lend themselves perfectly to cards. So yes, I am definitely going to take some inspiration from Somerset Stitch's Instagram feed when I come round to starting that scrapbook, and she has already inspired me to buy a few little packets of like the fancy cute scrapbooking papers and things. So yeah, I'm slowly starting to buy some supplies. Not got them here to show you in haul, they are literally just some pretty papers that I've bought so far. But yes, definitely go and check her out. Beautiful feed, lots of creative finishes, lovely. I digress. So let's carry on very quickly with the other Karen Carter designs in this bit of haul. So there is this one, Tree of Life. Tree of Life, all the little animals. And I know I have 4 trees to stitch already. I'm currently in the middle of doing the Bothy Autumn Love tree, and I've got the other 3 seasonal trees for that. But that tree I just thought was bit different. It's not a seasonal tree and it's just lovely. So yes, I got that one. I got this one, which is the potting shed, and I'm hoping to do this one for Adam. Out of the 2 of us, he is the one that is always tending the garden and is green fingered, great at growing things, in and out of the greenhouse, doing the plants. I do help a bit, but I think that I'm more of a hindrance than a help, and I confess that yeah, he is the gardener out of the 2 of us and not me. I thought he would like this one, and I'm going to do that for him at some point. Then I've got Vegetable Patch. Whoop, another one's just fallen off my knee. This is Vegetable Patch, and I just love this. I think it's quite comical with the chickens in amongst all the vegetables that they definitely shouldn't be pecking at and eating, but they are. And in the background there is a fox, I think, that is stalking the chickens. Here he is, Mr. Fox. Yes, I just like this one. Cross Stitch Man Sarah, I'm sure that you will appreciate and like this one when you get round to watching this episode. Have a standing joke with Sarah about my love of chicken themed patterns, because she does not get it and she's not a chicken fan. So every time I show something with chickens on, she laughs. So, ooh, I disappeared there to pick the one that had fallen. Yeah, I'm sure Sarah, Cross Stitch Man Sarah on Instagram, will love that one. And lastly is this one with the sunflowers and the bees on it, and this is called Making Honey. So it's got all the beehives there and the beautiful flowers and the bumblebees. They look more like bumblebees, friendly bumblebees than actual honeybees to me. And yes, I love that. So I am all Karen Cartered out. Yeah, I went on a rampage, didn't I? Like I said, I bought those a little while ago, but I haven't showed you. And then just a couple more bits. Again, Sarah's going to laugh at this. This is Bothy Hen House, or Hen Fun, sorry. So I absolutely love this with all the beautiful, colourful cartoon chickens. They look like they're on the beach, like, don't they? Even though there's bushes and stuff in the background, it looks like they're on a sandy beach having a lot of fun. Just love chickens and I like chicken patterns. This is a discontinued Bothy kit, and I felt really fortunate to get this. So I'm in a few Facebook groups, and I did put out an in search of post, like saying that I was in search of this item, and I got no responses, like nothing. And then a few days later I noticed someone had tagged me in a post, and another lady in the group had listed this for sale, but she hadn't done it in response to my in search of post. Like, I doubt she'd even seen my post, but somebody else had seen my in search of post, and then a few days later saw her advertising this, and that person tagged me in her new post saying, Lauren, somebody has listed this kit. So because I was tagged in that, I was really quickly able to message her and claim it and tell her that I wanted it. And I was really lucky, because literally a matter of minutes after I had messaged saying, yes please, me, another person did say that they would like to be second in line for it. So yeah, I was so fortunate to be tagged in that, otherwise I would have missed out. So yeah, very pleased to get hold of that. Then this is the last couple of bits of haul. So this is the pattern that I bought from Gina closer to the beginning of this month, and I mentioned in my last video that I'd forgotten to show you this piece of haul, this additional pattern from the stuff that Gina sent me, but I just at that point was not going to go and dig it out. So yes, Gina Stitches, she's a Flosstuber, she's on Instagram. I'll put her name on the screen for you. I got this from her called Princess of the Snow, and I just love it. It is a Joan Elliott pattern of this beautiful lady with all these little forest creatures and animals. And then, so I got this off Gina, and then literally a few days after I got this off Gina, I found this for sale, and I have wanted this for quite some time. And that same pattern, you can see here on the reverse, that same pattern is actually in the book. So now that I have the full book, I do have a duplicate of this pattern. So I think that is just in my stash for now, but I will do a giveaway for this pattern at some point in the hopefully fairly near future. I was thinking about keeping it until I hit another subscriber milestone, so if you're watching but you're not subscribed and you would like me to do this as a giveaway fairly soon, please subscribe and help me hit my next milestone, and at that point I will do this as a giveaway. What would my next milestone be? I think it would be 1,500, yes. So when I get to 1,500 subs, and if I get to 1,500 subs, I will do a giveaway for that beautiful pattern. But this here is the book that pattern is in. It is called Christmas Cross Stitch Treasures, and this is like a Joan Elliott book that was published, I believe, from looking inside this copy. This particular copy was published 2013. I don't know if it was like a republication, and maybe some copies are even older than that, I'm not sure, but this was a 2013 published book. And just check my notes again. So it was Stars Hollow Stitcher on Instagram. I will put her name below. Her actual name is Sarah, and Sarah did message me when I think I put a little Instagram story on my Instagram just saying happy mail when this arrived, and Sarah saw that and asked if I would mind doing a quick little flick through. So there's not a huge number of patterns in here. There are 18 designs, and I will just show them to you very quickly. So there is Santa's Magical Journey. Flick past the chart. Then we have the 12 Days of Christmas. Hopefully you're seeing these okay. It's quite a long one. All the different 12 Days of Christmas on. The next one is 2 different stocking designs. Quite nice, like traditional stockings, but one is a dragon and one is a little girl, but like in a quite traditional style. Then we have the Snow Princess. I won't stay on her long because you've just seen quite a lot of her. Flick past her pattern. There are some red work samplers which I think are quite lovely. 2 of those to pick from. One is Joy and one is like an alphabet. Then we've got So Much Fun with these happy snowmen decorating their Christmas tree. Very cute and jolly design. Ooh, I don't know if the microphone's going to pick that up, but apparently I'm hungry. My stomach is talking to me. We're nearly finished, so I can go and grab some food in a minute. Then there is this page, which has 4 different designs on that are all, I'm not sure what you'd call these. Would you I mean, they're on Christmas cards here, but they'd also quite suit like a chunky style bookmark with the size that they are, I think. So yes, 4 little cute designs there. Just flick past the patterns. Are these the last ones? Yeah. So then the last ones, oopsie, are these collection of what Joan Elliott has called roly-polies. So that is the 6, and then I'll just give you a closer view of the 2 pages, one at a time. So there are these 3, which is Snowman, Santa Claus and Mrs. Santa holding a gingerbread. And then there is an angel, a penguin and a teddy bear. So Sarah, I hope that has satisfied your curiosity, that that was okay, just a quick flick through. Anyone else that that likes Christmas designs. You know, I do think this is a lovely little book, and the main thing that I really wanted from it is the magical Santa on the front. I just think that is a beautiful design. Of course, the Winter Princess, although I had just obtained that from Gina, and it was just complete coincidence that this became available at the same time. And I do love the red works as well, particularly the Joy one, as opposed to the full alphabet. So yeah, lovely book. Obviously it's quite old, but if you do come across a copy and are interested to know what's inside it, now you know. And hopefully I'll see you in a couple of weeks, but if not, 4 weeks from now. Take care, happy stitching, goodbye. Bye.